8 years ago, my brother threw me out of the house at his wife's urging, and my parents stood with him too. But yesterday they all showed up at my $3.2 million beachside mansion and said, "We're staying here." I just smiled and locked the gate. "We're staying here." My older brother Adam said it from the other side of the iron gate, like he still had the right to order me around. Behind him stood his wife, Melissa, car keys in hand, wearing that same cold confidence on her face. And my parents were standing at the edge of the driveway, not tired, just expectant. Like this had already been decided. Like my Florida beach mansion was their next address. I was standing on the front steps with an iced coffee in my hand, the ocean breeze blowing my hair around, and I said only one thing. "Are you serious right now?" Adam put his hand on the bars of the gate. "Lena, enough. Open the gate." I looked down at the blinking keypad light, then back at him. "You all showed up without telling me, without calling, without even sending a text, with a moving truck, and now you're saying you're staying here?" Melissa pushed her sunglasses up on top of her head. "It's a huge place. Don't be dramatic. Family helps family." That line didn't spark anything poetic in me. It just brought back one clean, cold memory. 8 years earlier, this same woman had used that same tone when she told my brother to throw me out of his house. If you can already tell this story isn't going to go the way they expected, go ahead and like this video and subscribe, because that day I didn't just lock a gate. I closed an entire chapter. And what I said to their faces is probably something they still haven't forgotten. Mom stepped closer to the gate and said in a soft voice, "Honey, don't do this out here. Let us come in." I answered immediately, "No." Dad frowned. "Is that how you're talking to us? You're all standing here expecting me to act like nothing ever happened." Adam tightened his jaw. "We lost the house. It's temporary." "Temporary?" I said. "A U-Haul doesn't look temporary." Melissa cut in. "We had no choice." I gave her a small smile. "You had choices. You just picked my driveway." Standing there looking at them, I was suddenly back in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the middle of that winter when I was 26 and had just lived through the worst collapse of my life. My engagement had ended, my ex-fiancé had drained money from my business account, my credit cards were maxed out, and all I had left were 2 suitcases, a laptop, and so much embarrassment I could barely breathe. Adam had opened the door, hugged me, and said, "You can stay here till you get back on your feet." That night I told him, "I won't be a burden. I promise." Melissa was standing in the kitchen doorway. She smiled and said, "Of course. We're family." The first 10 days were actually okay. I stayed in the guest room, cleaned the kitchen before the kids got dropped off at school, paid my share of the grocery bill, and started freelancing from a folding table in the basement. Product descriptions, social media copy, branding blurbs for wedding vendors, whatever work I could find, I took. I stayed on my laptop until late at night. Then one evening I was doing invoices when Melissa came and stood in front of me. "How long is this supposed to last?" she asked. I looked up at her. "What do you mean?" "This. Living here. Till I recover," I said. He gave a little laugh. "Recover is not a plan." Just then Adam walked in. "What's going on?" Melissa shrugged. "I'm just asking for clarity." I said, "I thought that was already clear." Adam looked at me and said, "Lena, don't get defensive." That was the first time I understood that in that house, my place was smaller than the guest room I was sleeping in. After that, things started changing. If I was on a client call, Melissa would deliberately start vacuuming. She opened my Amazon packages. One time there was a sticky note on my orange juice in the fridge that said "Buy your own," even though I had bought it myself at Costco. When Mom came over, Melissa turned sweet and would casually say things like, "I just don't want Lena getting too comfortable." Dad would fold up his newspaper and add, "A woman your age should be more stable." I would smile, but inside me one thing was getting clearer every day. This was not help. This was tolerated humiliation. Thanksgiving was the first time everything blew up in the open. The turkey was in the oven, football was on TV, and I was mashing sweet potatoes when Melissa called out loudly from the dining room, "Lena, maybe don't leave your work stuff all over the guest room. We might need it for actual guests at Christmas." I turned around and said, "I live in that room." She said, "Temporarily." I stared at her. "You say that like I'm squatting." Adam picked up his beer. "Can we not do this today?" I looked at him. "Then tell your wife to stop." Melissa set down her fork. "Stop what?" "Pointing out reality." The reality is that I'm working. She laughed. On what? Pretending you still have a business. The room went silent. Mom said, Melissa, but weakly. Dad didn't even look at me. Adam just said, let it go, Lena. I shook my head. No. She keeps taking shots at me. Melissa leaned back in her chair. I'm tired of watching a grown woman camp out in my house. I looked straight at Dad. You're okay with this? He answered in a dry voice. She's being blunt, not wrong. That sentence stayed inside me. A week before Christmas, I got a major contract from a boutique hotel group in Tampa. It came with upfront payment. Enough for a studio apartment. Enough to finally breathe. I walked into the kitchen excited and said, I got a major client. Mom smiled right away. That's wonderful. I held my phone out toward Adam. Look. He barely glanced at it. Nice. Melissa was slicing an apple. Without even looking up, she asked, so when are you moving out? I stared at her. I got the email 5 minutes ago. And, she said, you said you only needed one break. That was the moment I realized she wasn't upset by my failure. She was irritated by my recovery. Over the next few days, I quietly found a place on Craigslist, scraped together the deposit and set my move date. But 3 days before I was supposed to move, I came downstairs that morning and found my suitcases sitting on the porch. The December air was freezing, white frost covered the grass, and my laptop bag was leaning against the front door. I rushed back inside. What the hell is this? Adam was standing in the hallway. You need to leave today. I thought I had heard him wrong. What? From the top of the stairs, Melissa called down, don't act confused. I'm leaving in 3 days, I said. Adam repeated himself. Today. Why? Melissa folded her arms. Because I don't feel comfortable anymore. I laughed, the kind of laugh that comes from pure disbelief. Comfortable? I work, I clean, I pay for my own food, and I stay in one room. Still not working for me, she said. I turned to Mom. Mom. She gripped her mug tighter. Maybe it's better not to drag it out. Then I looked at Dad. Seriously. He said, you're an adult. Figure it out. I walked right up to Adam. You told me I could stay. He answered, plans changed. Because your wife snapped her fingers? Watch your tone. I shouted back, watch yours. I'm your sister. Melissa came downstairs. And I'm his wife. I looked right at her. You wanted me gone from day one. She stepped closer until she was right in front of me. Because women like you always turn temporary into permanent. I stared at her. Women like me? Adam opened the door wider. We're done here. I looked at my parents one last time. You're really standing with them? Mom said nothing. Dad said, maybe this will force you to grow up. I did not cry that day. I put my suitcases in my car, drove to a cheap motel and stood in front of the bathroom sink and told myself, nobody gets to do this to me again. Then I worked. I worked a lot. On that scratched motel desk. In coffee shops. On borrowed Wi-Fi. Then in a rented office. Then with a small team. 1 client, then 3, then 10. Hospitality brands, coastal rentals, boutique hotels, destination weddings. 6 years later my agency was bringing in enough revenue for me to move to Naples. Last year I bought this beach house. White walls, glass doors, a pool, a private deck, ring cameras, and a gate that stays locked unless I say otherwise. And now all of them were standing right in front of me. Back in the present I asked, how did you even get my address? Melissa said, your Instagram. You post everything. Not anymore. Dad cleared his throat. The point is we're here. The point is you're not coming in. Mom's voice shook. We had nowhere else to go. I said, there are hotels. Rentals. Airbnb. Extended stay motels. Gas stations. Maps. Plenty of places to go. Adam grabbed the gate. You owe us. I was honestly stunned. I owe you. Yes, he said. I took you in when nobody else would. And then you threw me out before Christmas. We gave you a roof. You used that roof to remind me every day that I wasn't welcome. Melissa snapped. Oh my God, are you still doing this victim thing? You turned out fine. I gave her a cold smile. That's cute. Real cute. Mom said, please don't punish all of us over something old. I looked her right in the eyes. Old for you. Expensive for me. Adam tried again. Look, I made some bad investments. Melissa's boutique failed. The bank took the house. We just need a few months. No. 1 month. No. 2 weeks. No. He raised his voice. You have 8 bedrooms. Still no. Melissa shouted, you selfish little. I lifted my hand. Finish that sentence and I call security. She gave a mocking laugh. Security? What are you, famous now? No, I said. Prepared. I pulled out my phone and called my property manager, Carla. Can you come to the front gate? She answered, problem? Yeah. Uninvited family with a moving truck. Adam stared at me. You're calling someone on us? I'm calling help for me. Interesting difference, right? Carla showed up 3 minutes later in a golf cart. Navy polo, clipboard, all business. She looked at me first. You okay? I pointed toward the gate. These people are not allowed on the property. Dad looked shocked. People? Yes, I said. People. Carla turned to them. Sir, ma'am, if the owner is asking you to leave, you need to leave. Adam still had his hands on the bars. This is my sister. Carla answered, and this is her property. Right then I saw it on Adam's face, the same thing he had probably once seen on mine. Power slipping. He made one last attempt. Lena, don't do this in front of strangers. I said, you did it in front of family. This is actually kinder. Mom said softly, honey. I shook my head. No. Don't honey me now. Melissa cut in. After everything your brother did for you? I let out a dry laugh. He put me out on a porch in December. Dad said sharply, you survived. I answered, exactly. I survived. I didn't forget. Carla asked, do you want me to call non-emergency? Without taking my eyes off Adam, I said, give them 60 seconds. Adam looked at me in disbelief. You'd really leave mom and dad like this? I answered, no. I'd leave 4 adults to solve their own mess. Silence fell over all of us. I could hear the ocean, the light rustle of the palm trees, and the idle hum of the U-Haul engine. Then Mom slowly took hold of Dad's arm. Let's go. Melissa immediately protested. We can't just leave. For the first time Dad snapped at her. Enough. Adam looked at me, really looked at me, maybe for the first time in his life. So that's it. That's it. He said, you're not the same person. I answered, that's the point. I opened the app, locked the pedestrian latch too, and watched the gate's green light turn red. I smiled. The kind of smile that moment had earned. No screaming. No speech. No dramatic revenge monologue. Just a locked gate and a boundary that wasn't late anymore. They all walked back toward the truck. Mom turned around once. Dad didn't. Melissa looked at me like I was a monster. Adam paused by the driver's door. I said, Adam. He turned. You were right about one thing. What? That day did force me to grow up. He said nothing. He just got into the truck. I went inside, locked the front door, and stood there in the foyer. I felt no guilt. Just relief. Clean, direct, earned relief. Carla looked at me and asked, you could? I said, yeah. Better than good. That same evening I made my Instagram private, sent my attorney a one-line email just in case, and sat out on the deck watching the sunset. Someone once asked me, if they ever come back, would you forgive them? Now I have my answer. Forgiveness and access are not the same thing. Some people don't come back into your life looking for forgiveness. They come back looking for your address. And for people like that, a locked gate is answer enough. If you think I wasn't wrong, go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Then tell me honestly in the comments. If the family who threw you out at your lowest point showed up years later at your gate and said, we're staying here, would you open it or would you lock it?